Oh boy, it was traffic yesterday. We never had so much traffic, like from the beginning until the end. Every place where there was traffic, construction was crazy.
When people are on vacation, going,
But when Canada on the Canada side, look, it took us 3 hours to get to the border, which usually takes about an hour and 10 minutes.
right.
So it was pretty wild. And then in the United States, there's so much construction. Same as it. It's a small daf, but it's seriously consequential. The, the basics of Hilchos Tarubis are in a small little daf today. Just give it another minute, see if Ephraim comes. And we got up to the Mishnah yesterday, so it makes that small daf even smaller. So yesterday we had a whole discussion about the koyach tvias ayin, and the Gemara seemed to have concluded that tvias ayin is even a stronger verification than simonim, because the Gemara cited several examples of where tvias ayin would work and simonim wouldn't, such as saying edus that someone killed somebody, unless the Edom recognized the person that was the Ritzach, they wouldn't be believed if they just had simonim on that person. That's number one. Number two is, how could someone ever live with their wife at night when it's dark, or someone who's blind? It must be because it's fizayin of coil. And the other one was, if you send somebody another place to find somebody and give him something, someone wouldn't really be a good way to find a fellow. He has to recognize it. So as far as a marriage issue, what the Gemara is basically saying is that you cannot, you must be the tefillah of coil would allow someone to live with his wife. Well, what if someone is blind and deaf? Does that mean he can't get married? Does that mean he can't have any relations? So the Mefarshim speak out that if it's in his own house, in his own room, in his own bed, where everything is where they belong, everyone is where they belong, there you don't need any similar right. The only time you would need a similar raya if he's not in his natural habitat and he's somewhere out and his wife is not where it's expected, so there you need some other right. That Toshis raises another interesting question, and that is, the Gemara seems to say that you would not kill somebody based on simonim, only based on tfiyasai. But Toshis has a big kash on that, because Toshis says, Vim Toimar, the haloy masianisha al pisimonim. The halacha is, if you want to be mater a woman l'shok shisha naguna, even if someone comes along and says there's a simon, you could let her get married. According to the Toshis, l'hachlishad amarav simonim daraisa in the Perek Basha the Yavamas. So look, Toshis, think of this scenario. They were mater her to remarry Alpi Simon. Then she got married. Her second marriage is only a valid marriage because of the simon that told us that the first marriage is over. If after she married the second time, there were Adim that came along and said that she was Mazana, Katlina, you'll kill her. But how could you kill her? Who said her second marriage is even valid? It's only simonim that confirm that her second marriage was a valid marriage, because that's how we know that the first marriage had dissolved. Even though, as far as the first husband, we can't kill her for being mizana on the first husband, because by this point in time, we already found Adam that recognized him, that said that he had already died at this point. But at the end of the day, but we don't have Adam that say that the first husband was dead already at the time that the second husband married her. And therefore, so it's only because of a simon that you validate the second marriage, and now you're killing her for it. So you see, with simanim you do kill somebody. In fact, in this case, you wouldn't get killed if she was mezana on her second husband. Maybe her first husband was alive at the time when she married her second husband. And her second marriage was never valid. So that's an interesting point. Okay. There's also a discussion of we know what if somebody has tviya signing on an aveda? The halacha is your machzer an aveda. The problem is they're not a halacha that you cannot be moitzim mammon on piyad echad. So how could you give them the aveda? There it is. You're not taking the aveda from a machzer. The aveda is lost. It's looking for its owner. No one's claiming that it's mine. If someone claimed that it's theirs, could be the tviya sign wouldn't be enough to take it away from the muksa. It's only because it's not in the muksa. The father knows it's not his. He's looking for the owner. There, I'll pay tviya sign. He'll give it back to him. But what would happen? What would happen if I said if two people were fighting who the avodah belongs to, and a third party came along and said, I know it belongs to Reuven. Would you give it to him? I'll pay it out. So there's a whole bunch of a discussion as to what extent Mesiach Lehutumah would work. But let's start in the Mishnah. Hanoitel Gid Hanasha, one who takes out, who extracts the Gid Hanasha, Tzarech Sheyitel is Kula. He has to take it all. So this is the subject of a machlokes that we had, where a mayor says you have to be mechatet acharov. Got to take every little bit out. As Rashi says, yechatet acharov. Ustamish to a mayor, our mission is going to a mayor. You literally have to dig up after every little part of the gid and get it out. However, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kedei lakayim by mitzvahs latila. You just have to take out the main section. Talk to Gemara. This already we learned. If someone kazayis of the gid hanosha, soifik arboim, he gets malchus. How about ochla? He ate the whole gid hanosha, but ve'in by kazayis. It was small, so therefore there was not kazayis. Ochal mizek kazayis, umizek kazayis. Or if there were two gid hanoshas, and he ate the kazayis of one and the kazayis of the other, halacha is soifik shmoinim, he'll get two malchus. One for the achila of gid number one, and one for the achila of gid number two. But to be Yehuda Omer, soifik el arbaim. He'll only get 40 malchus. And we already learned that the machlokes is if you can get malchus for gid because it's a beria, or it has to be a kazayis. And the case of achol mizek kazayis, umizek kazayis, soifik shmoinim means that each one didn't have a kazayis. Rather, it was a kazayis One of them had a kazayis and the other one didn't. So that's where you'd only get malchus for one of them. Okay, so oh, I apologize. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. It says before you ate a kazayis in each one. That means the is sukkah if it's the right side or the left side, but it's not both sides, and therefore if the holes, you only get one malchus. There's only one gate, either from the right side or the left side, is the one that the Torah asks. Bar Piyule, Havakoi, made the shul. Bar Piyule was standing in front of the shul, V'kamenaker Akma, and he was cutting out the Git Hamasha. Hav Kagoimli, he was just cutting out the main part of it, like Rabbi Yehuda Paskins in our Mishnah, but Rashi said Rabbi Yehuda, where Hoya Machate, he didn't figure it all out, he just sliced out the surface what was sticking out. And what Goyim Milamai, he didn't cut out every little bit, he just took out the main part, but sticking up like Rabbi Yehuda's sheep. So Shmuel told him, dig it more, I want to kick it all out like a mayor. Then Shmuel said, boy, am I happy that I caught you, because had I not seen what you were doing, you would have ended up feeding me Gid Hadasha, because you wouldn't have taken it out. Irtis, when Bar Piyula heard that he was accused by Shmuel of potentially being Michael Asuris, he panicked. Nofak Sakilim Yosy, he even dropped his knife. That caused him great panic. Amalei Shmuel said, calm down. I'm not attacking you. Loy Tirsis, don't get nervous. As Rashi says, Loiba Amoritz, Loiba Rosh I'm not choshing that you're a Rosh or an Amoritz. You did everything good. You did everything good. Because the Arila, whoever taught you how to move the gid, taught you based on the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. Nobody could scoff at Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. I just wanted to not like a marriage. Rav Shesha said, my Geshakol Bar Piyule, what Bar Piyule took out, only satisfies the Chiyuv Deraisa with Rabbi Yehuda. Now, by saying that, that would be mashma that according to Rabbi Yehuda, B'derabanan, you would have still had to take out the rest of the gig. Miklau, the Shire, Derabanan, Rabbi Yehuda. It's mashma that Rabbi Yehuda neglected to take out the part of the gig that's prohibited B'derabanan according to Rabbi Yehuda. So if that's the case, then how could Shmuel have told him that he didn't do anything wrong? Who did he fear Zechlik? He wasn't fearing Zechlik, Rabbi Yehuda, because if he was, he would have taken it all out because he had to get rid of the Yisur Rabbanan as well. El Amar Psheshis, this is what you have to quote Rav Sheshes as having said. My Dishakol Bar Piyule, the Araisa, Umay Dishayir, L'Rabbanan, Derabneir. What Rav Piyule took out was Mekayim the Deraisa according to Sire Buddha and Sire Meir. And that Rav Meir mandates, L'chatit Acharov, that's only an Isser D'Rabbanan. So even according to Rav Meir, L'chatit Acharov, that's only a Chorba D'Rabbanan. Deraisi agrees with Rabbi Yehuda that the main gate is what needs to be taken out. With the Shire D'Rabbanan L'Rabbein, the Rabbi Yehuda, Afilu D'Rabbanan show. Because Rabbi Yehuda holds you don't have to remove that part, even D'Rabbanan. The only part of the Giranasha that's also is the part that's on the kaf. Let's see what Rashi says. The Afal Tisha Gid Aruch, even though the Giranasha is long, Ein Asur Ela Masha Sheikh the part of it that's also is the part that rests on that bone that has the round meat over it. That's the part that's also. Half, Rashi says, is Basar Asaitiv as a Kulis. That's the meat that wraps around that thigh bone. The dovuk la'etzem, and it's stuck to the bone. This gid partially leans on, partially passes over that meat. That's the part that's also that has to be taken out. Shenemar, because the pasuk says al kafa yara. The what? Which gid anosh is also the part that's al kafa yara. Omar Zokta Papa Kitadon. This is actually totally in a machlokes tonight, as Rashi says. As the Gemara is going to now elaborate, there are one islu the Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda laslu the Shmuel. This halacha that Shmuel said, tzakula, you only have to take out the part that's on the kaf, that would be subject to a machlokes, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbi. Because we looked akwali ve'ein by kazayis. If you ate the giranasha and there was no kazayis, our mission, halacha is chay, but Rabbi Yehuda Omer achi by kazayis. My time of the Rabban. What is this for the Rabban of the whole that you're chay for eating the giranasha, even though it doesn't have a kazayis? Because it's a burial. It's an individual identifiable item. The Torah said, don't eat the gid, no matter what size it is, don't eat it. That's the shita of the Rabban. Let's turn over onto other grades. Yehuda, achila ksivbe. It says like soichal skiranash. Achila by definition always means kazayis. Suck the Gemara. For Rabbanan, the Rabbanan agree that it says achila by giranasha, so maybe it has to be kazayis. Zok the Gemara, hahi achila v'chi ispe arba v'kamisha zeisim v'yachal chat kazayis machai. That achila is to tell you, not that you have to have a minimum share of a kazayis. But what if you have a large giranasha that has multiple kazayis? You don't have to eat the whole giranasha to be over allowed. Even if you ate a kazayis of the giranasha, you'd still be fine. Rabbi Yehuda, how does he know that? How does he know you don't have to eat the whole giranasha? Because you share al kafayarech daf. The Torah says the part of the giranasha that's supposed to eat is the part that's al kafayarech. So by definition, the Torah is telling you that you don't have to eat the whole gid in order to be chayav. Rabbanan, they also says al kafayarech. So according to Rabbanan as well, we should know that you don't have to eat the complete gid. So weiter, achila is extra. Dr. Gemara, Rabbanan, that to teach us Shmuel's halacha. Amar Shmuel, al kafayir. That's to tell us the chiddush that the only part of the giranasha that's usher is the part that passes around that yerech bone. Rabbi Yehuda says ha yerech, the kula yerech. It says ha yerech, meaning I disagree with Shmuel, and I hold that the giranasha along the entire yerech, not just the part where it crosses that bone, is also going to be also. Rabbanan, what does Rabbanan use the word ha, the hay of ha yerech for? Ahu, the pasuk isurei b'chula yerech. That just to identify which one is the giranasha. The giranasha is the one that extends down the entire leg of the animal. Which tells us that the giranasha that the Torah is referring to is not what we discussed earlier. The giranasha, of which there's two shitas, of which one of that is, the loy, it doesn't go down the whole way. But the only part that's usher, the only part of this gid that goes down the whole year is usher, is the part that's alakaf. How could you say that's what kaf tells you? How could Shmuel say that kaf tells you that the only part of the giranasha that's usher is the gid that's on the kaf? You need kaf for a different reason. That kaf is needed to tell you that an oif doesn't have the din of giranasha. It's up the less like kaf. So the word trade kaf ksivi, it says kaf twice in the. At the end of the day, we have a kiddush of Shmuel that says that the only part of the Gid Nosh that's also is the part that passes by the kaf here. So to the next Mishnah. This is where the Yosy halachas of Hilchos Terubis are extracted. Yerech is possible Gid Nosh. What happens if you didn't take out the Gid Nosh and you cooked the Yerech together with the Gid Nosh? So now, if you hold Yesh Begid Benois in Tam, then you have an issue here that the palm of the Gid Nosh, which is also, is now absorbed in the meat. The halacha is, Im Yesh Ba Benois in Tam, if the Gid is big enough compared to the Yerech, that it will be tasted. When you eat the meat, you'll taste the Gid, then Harezu Asur. Then the whole Yerech is Asur. The problem is, the Gid has the same taste as the meat. Now, how could you tell by tasting the meat if you could taste Gid?
Did the Gid even have a taste?
Well, there's a machloikas of yesh begid b'nais and tam or not. But this could only be working on the tzad of yesh begid b'nais and tam. So it's ba'alma. It couldn't possibly answer the Gid, the US that a Yerech is. How do you evaluate it? So to Gemara, kibosar belefes. What you do is you take basar and you cook it with lefes. These lefes are turnips, and you see how much meat it would take to cook with the turnips, so that when you eat the turnips, you'll taste the meat. Treat the Gid like the basar, treat the Yerech like the turnips, and same amount of meat that there would have to be relative to turnips, that's how much Gid there would have to be relative to the Yerech. And that's what you could tell. And we know that is Mishisha. Let's see Rashi. The basar belefes. Roin kilu hayerech liftos. You look at it as if the Yerech is like turnips. Gid basar, and the Gid is meat. The ilu hayer nice in town bebasar. Mishir Gid beliftos hayerech beliftos. If the basar of this size, the size of the Gid, would put a taste into lefes, that was the size of the Yerech, then it's also. Where do you get this from? How do we know this is the shear? So Rashi, the shiur and the halacha l'Moshe Messinai. Shiur and the halacha l'Moshe Messinai. Ugamiri, and we learned halacha l'Moshe Messinai. The bahachim misharina. This is how you assess if the iser will penetrate and aser the pattern that was cooked with. You have a piece, iluhoy krov, a kaput, a chach pachas yoser. Even using a different type of vegetable, which might absorb taste easier or harder, we don't care. We base it on lefes, and that is a halacha l'Moshe Messinai. Okay, Gavalta. Now, what happens if Gid Nosha should dispashal imagid? You had the Gid Nosha and you cooked it in a pot, and there were other Gid in it. And of course, there's Isser, the Gid Nosha, mixed with Keter, the other Gid. So Bisman Shemakir, if you know which one it is, so you could take it out. Zakrashi Mashlichoy Lachutz, just remove it and throw it out. And then all I need to worry about is its tam, ve'en kan, ela pleitasai. I only have to worry now about the taste that might have been absorbed by the other Gid. So then all I have to do is figure out if it's bottled with Mishnah. But Vim Lav, what if it's mixed in there and I can't figure out which one it is? I can't identify it. Then Kula Nasurin, all of them will be Asur. Now the obvious kasha is it should be bottled b'roif. So Rashi says Kula Nasurin, L'kamon Mefarish, the noise and tam, b'min b'minoi, shein odem yochel avchinoi, shiaru b'shisha. The halacha is, if it's noise and tam, but it's min b'minoi, we use shishim for that. V'imlav kula nasuin. Here Rashi is the b'chol echad yeshloimer zehu. If you're looking at all these getting in the pot, you don't know which one is the one that's also. Since each one might be that one that's also, you can't eat any. The Gemara has been asked, lift over Ruba. Lagabi that, chad betray should be bought. It's only time that you need 64. But the bittul of the actual gid, if there's two other ones, and the gid is outnumbered by 2 to 1, you should go bosarai. So that's something that the Gemara will discuss. Halacha is v'haroitev b'noisintal. What about the gravy in that pot? It's not just the gittin, there's gravy there. It's the same thing. If the gravy absorbed taste of the gid, it will be also. If it didn't, then it'll be what? V'chein faticha shel nevela, v'chein faticha shel dak tomei, shenispash le'im ha'chatikos. What if I had one piece of trade for meat that got cooked in a pot with a whole bunch of kosher pieces of meat? Bizman shemakiram. If I know which piece of meat it is and I can remove it, then all I need to be concerned about is b'nois and tam. Was it bottle b'shishim or not? Was there enough iser to put taste into that? B'mlav kulon asuros, and if not, then they're all awesome. Again, why don't you say it's bottle chad betray? That's a shadow the Gemara is going to deal with. The roitev b'nois and tam. The roitev for sure is not a piece of meat. So we know for sure the roitev is an iser. Question is, was the roitev by Leah? Does it have the taste of the iser? So that's tola in shijin. Now there's a whole discussion over here as to whether you count when you're measuring 60. There's have to be 60 in the meat, negative meat, and 60 in the roitev, negative iser. Or how about let's combine the volume of the kosher meat with the volume of the roitev, and together maybe they should be able to overwhelm the iser. That's a very big discussion of whether or not all the heter in the pot combine. Omar Shmuel, Eloi Shanu, Ella Shenishpatel. This whole issue where we're concerned that the taste of the gid permeated the entire pot, that's if it was cooked. Because cooking equally distributes the taste throughout everything in the pot. What if you roasted the gid, the yerch with the gid inside? There it would not fully penetrate the meat, and therefore what you could do is you could peel the meat off from around the gid up until the gid. Now there's a discussion if you have to leave over a small layer. Tosfos says you have to leave over kedei detila, which has a little bit of a thickness to it. There are those who hold you need to leave over kedei klipa, which is even a thinner layer. So there will be a tiny bit of penetration, but once you peel that away, the rest of the meat will not be a problem. Break the Gemara. Is that so? The Amar of Huna said, Gedi, if you roasted a gedi and you didn't remove its chaylev, so now its chaylev is going to spread its taste to the rest of the animal. In other words, we'll say that the tam of chaylev does spread throughout the entire animal, and you don't just say it's kedei klipa. So oibazoi, why is the gid anosha any different? So tomorrow, turning on to Daf Tzadik Zayin Al Aleph. Shiny chaylev the mifafeh. Chaylev fat, it bubbles and it spreads and it penetrates. So sure, if you roast a gedi with chaylev in it, the chaylev will penetrate a whole body. But you don't say that by a gid. The gid is not necessarily so penetrative, and therefore it's only going to be ad kedei klipa. Okay. I want to stop here because tomorrow is also a very small daf. So what I want to do is there's a very important thesis on Tzadik Vav Amud Beis, and let's have a closer look at it. Okay, so there's many important Yosodis. The first discussion is the Yosod of Beria. What qualifies as a Beria and what doesn't qualify as a Beria? So let's have a look at Tosis. Rabbi Yehuda said that it says Achila. The Baal says Achila by the Giranasha, even though the Giranasha is a Beria, but Achila means you have to eat at least the Kazayas. For Tosis, how could Rabbi Yehuda say that? In Taimar, Fareinu Mola, an ant, Mishar Shrotzim, the Chsivu Bachila. The Isser is to eat Shrotzim, nevertheless, Umakayiv B'chol. Yet you are chayiv in a kol shu if you eat an ant. You didn't eat a shir kezayis. So why is the gid anosha any different? Kidetnan beperek basra the makos. V'loy polag Rabbi Yehuda. By an ant, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't disagree, and he holds just eating a small ant, even though it's not a kezayis. You are chayiv. V'yesh lo misuk toismus. The achila the hasam, the achila mentioned by the mullah is needed for a different yesod. Itzrich the Ika Dalit or Chamisha Zaysim the Chayiv. Even if there's 4 or 5 Zaysim, even if you had a bigger insect, you'll still be Chayiv Bechad Zayis eating one insect, eating one Kazayis insect. So Avad, if you ate the whole insect, even though it's less than the Kazayis, you'd be Chayiv. I was the Lashon Achila. Lashon Achila is like what the Rabbanan used over here. That if you had a huge insect, you didn't have to eat the whole insect to be mechuyev. Even if you only ate the one kazais out of that insect. But when it comes to Granasha, Aminan Rabbi Yehuda, Me'asher ala kafna. We already know that limud from a different pasuk, as we learned in our Gemara. So therefore, the achila means that there has to be at least kazais. But hachi Aminan b'meila b'per kachim mizbeh. Let's skip a little bit. In time of factizers, we have another problem. Resake tishanamol. What if you squashed, you minced, you crushed 10 ants, the echad chai, and one is complete, v'shlimar the kazayis, and the live ant, or the complete ant, was mashlim all of the smashed ants to be a kazayis. Allah is like a sheish. You get 6 malchus. Chamesh mishum beria the sheretz. 5 because you ate one complete ant. The achas mishum nevela, and 1 because of the kazayis nevela. Now, Frank Tosfos, Allah mali shehei chad chai. In order to be mechuyev, the Isser Shrotzim, there had to have been one that was not crushed. Davaberia. Why do we need that? Since you ate a full kazayis of insects, even though they're all smashed, like a mishum sherets, you should get malchus for eating the sherets. You made an achila of a kazayis worth of sherets. The same way they all combine to be a kazayis devela, they should all combine to be a kazayis of sherets. V'yishlemus haktoisus. Nevadei alav dishrotzim tichsiv v'loshen achila loki mishum kazayis sherets. Avada, you'll get malchus for eating a kazayis sherets because it does use the word loisoichal in reference to sherets. Ella yesh lav disherets loiksiv b'huachila. But there are other lavim by sherets that don't need an achila. Kigoyin. Altashaksu. The lav of Altashaksu doesn't mention any type of shira. So it's for that lav that you have to eat the whole ant chai, not crushed. Ahilei laki elabachai ishuberi. In Torah fictitious, vakati lomali chai. Why does it have to be a live ant? Why can it be a dead ant? Afilu mesnami choshuberia. A complete ant that's dead should also be also. In the Rim Seif Perik Tameya, bein bechayeha. Bein b'misosa b'chol sheni. Yeshloim zaktoisus v'loidakat chai lafukines. It doesn't mean that it literally has to be alive. It just means that it has to be complete. Elapirish chai sholin lafuke risei. So you only say beria if the if the animal is complete, if it's crushed, even though you ate the whole thing, you don't say that you didn't bury it. Only while it's in its complete form. Kidaminon gabi kalim shvirosim zugisas. In time of justice, we have another problem. Raminim besides Perkin, Aver Minachai, Sarach Shiyochel, Kizayas. By Aver Minachai, you have to eat a Kizayas of it to be over. The Chilik Sive. Dilma Hodach Sivba Yachila is Lememar, the Machai the Kizayas, Avagav Isay Bay, Dalar Hazesam, like an Arkamar. Maybe the only reason why there's a Loshna Achila by Aver Minachai is to tell you that if you had a large Aver Minachai and you ate one Kizayas of it, you'd be over. But what if you ate a full Aver, but it wasn't a Kizayas? You should be over as well. Another important rule of Beria. It won't be a Beria unless you eat an Aver Shalom. So Perkin, the Shloknish, the Potter, Cholkai, the Befnim, the Machayiv, Ela Begrumisas Yirut. So you have to eat whole thing. You have to eat an Aver Shalom in order for it to be a burial. So it's very interesting. Why don't you have a burial by Nevada? If I have a full chunk of meat, why don't you bury it there? So there's different Rishonim that offer different litmus tests. Tosha says it has to be complete, crushed. Tosha says it has to be a complete Aver. There's other Rishonim who say that when the Isser is not because of it itself, the Gid Anosha, the Torah says, Gid. Don't eat the Gid. That's telling us that the burial of Gid is what's also. That's what this Isser Erva. When the Torah says, Nevela, there, the Torah is telling you, don't eat Nevela meat. Because the word Nevela, by definition, doesn't mean the whole animal. It means any meat that was killed not through a proper shechita. So when the Torah is telling you don't eat this item, that's when there would be a din burial. But when the Torah says don't eat nevela styled meat, it's not talking about a specific item. So therefore you would need a kazayas. Another svar that the Rishonim say is if the iser is meneu bay, gid anosh is also because gid it's mitzias is also. That's what this is din burial. But nevela meat be'etzem is not also. Meat that wasn't shechted properly is usher. That's an isser, that's an external isser, because the meat wasn't prepared properly. But the meat itself is nothing wrong with it. And therefore, it would not be a din beria on something like the veil. In Baruch Hashem, we were zoich to finish Daf Tzadik Vov, which tomorrow we'll end Daf Tzadik Sad.
Yeah.
Sorry.